19th March 2022. Morning Murli. Shanti. BapDada. Madhuban. Sweet children, the Father has come to take you away from this world of sorrow and send you to the world of happiness. Means Sukhadham. The word Dham is associated with a pure place. Question: on what two words is this unlimited play based? Answer: inheritance and curse. The Father gives you the inheritance of happiness, and Ravan gives you the curse of sorrow. This is an unlimited aspect. Those who belong to the Deitar religion claim their inheritance from the Father. Then, after half a cycle, Ravan curses them. You children have now remembered that you used to reside in the incorporeal world and that you then came here and played your parts of happiness. You became deities, warriors, merchants, and Shudras, and you have now become Brahmins in order to become deities again. Song: Salutations to Shiv. Shanti. This is the praise of the unlimited Father. The highest on high is God. Everyone knows this. God is the highest on high, and his directions must therefore also be the highest on high. This is why it is said that Srimad means elevated directions. This is why all the devotees remember him. He is God, and so there also have to be devotees. Since he is the Father, a mother is also needed. On the one hand, there are worldly parents, and on the other, there are the mother and father from beyond this world. When people are unhappy, then even though they have worldly parents, they still remember their father from beyond. You also have worldly relations. Your mother and father from beyond take you to the world beyond, whereas your worldly ones are a bondage in which there is sorrow. There are two worlds beyond. One is the incorporeal world where souls reside, and the other is the corporeal world, which is called the land of happiness. One is the land of peace, and the other is the land of happiness. Baba comes and takes you away from this land of sorrow, which is also called the land of death or the impure, corrupt world. All here are impure. Those who indulge in vice are called impure. The residents of the golden age are pure and completely viceless. Previously, people would sing songs of praise in front of the idols of Lakshmi and Narayan and consider themselves to be vicious. Lakshmi and Narayan, then emperor and empress, were pure, and so the subjects too are called pure. That is the land of happiness, means Vaikuntha, paradise. Hell is not called a dham. A dham is a pure world, whereas this world is impure. Bharat used to be the land of happiness, but it is now impure, corrupt hell. Everyone now has to be taken to the world of happiness. Therefore, the Father definitely has to come so that he can make the children happy. Baba is the creator of heaven, and you see, oh Baba, you first gave us the inheritance of heaven. We stayed in heaven for half a cycle. That is called the Sun Dynasty Kingdom and the Moon Dynasty Kingdom. Baba reminds you that you stayed in heaven for 21 births. You had 8 births in the Golden Age and 12 births in the Silver Age. The Father sits here and explains all of these things to you. He says, children, you do not know your own births. I tell you everything. The incorporeal Father is speaking to the incorporeal children. He says, having taken this ordinary body on loan, I explain to you, you were in the cottage free from sorrow for half a cycle. You then went into the cottage of sorrow. Your happiness ended and you became sorrowful. The path of sins means hell. You experience hell in this world, and then the Father comes and liberates you from the kingdom of Ravan and sends you to the kingdom of Ram. This play is predestined. The Father gives you the inheritance of happiness, whereas Ravan gives you the curse of sorrow. Thus is an unlimited aspect. The Father is now giving you the inheritance of happiness for 21 births. God creates heaven, and so you should receive the inheritance of heaven. You did receive the inheritance. Then Maya cursed you for half a cycle. You have the entire cycle in your intellects. The cycle never ends. The Father definitely has to come to give you your inheritance. The Father has now come, and He knows that only those who claim their inheritance a cycle ago will claim it again. No one except those who belong to the Driti religion can claim the inheritance. You cannot become deities without first becoming Brahmins. We souls first reside in the incorporeal world, and we then go to play our parts of happiness. We become deities, then we become warriors, merchants, and Shudras. We go into those clans. Those who became Brahmins now call themselves Brahma Kumaris and Kumaris. They understand that they are now brothers and sisters, and so there is no region of vice. You know that when you become pure, you will become the masters of the pure world. You remember the Father and heaven, and you remain pure in this one birth. This is the land of death. There has to be defeat for the land of death and victory for the land of immortality. The five vices do not exist there. The kingdom of Ravan will have ended. The golden and silver ages are called the kingdom of Ram, and the copper and iron ages are called the kingdom of Ravan. Bharat, which was as valuable as a diamond, has now become as worthless as a shell. The Father now says, I have come to give you a birth as valuable as a diamond. Follow my Srimad, otherwise you will not be able to experience the happiness of heaven. There is no mention of sorrow in heaven, and there are no other lands either. Bharat is, in fact, the ancient land. There is just the kingdom of deities, that is all. That is why it is called heaven. You experience the happiness of heaven for half a cycle, then the kingdom of Ravan begins. The golden age is also called the Shiv temple, as it is established by shivbaba. Shivbaba establishes heaven through Brahma and inspires the destruction of hell through Shankar. Those who establish heaven will be ones who sustain it. They will become the masters of the land of Vishnu. Shivbaba alone changes you from Shudras into Brahmins. At present, you are the Brahmin clan, and you will then become the deity clan. You have now been brought into the Brahmin clan by God. You will then go and stay with the Father in the supreme abode as part of the godly clan. Then you will go into the deity clan. In the golden age, there used to be the kingdom of just deities. At that time, there were no other lands. Those of Islam and the Buddhist came into existence later. You Pandavas conquered the five vices with the power of yoga and became the conquerors of the world, the masters of the world. Lakshmi and Narayan were the masters of the Sun dynasty heaven. They too received their inheritance from the Father at the confluence age. The confluence age is of Brahmins. Those who do not become Brahmins are still in the Iron Age. The Father takes you away from the brothel and takes you to the Shiv temple. You are the children of Brahma, Brahma Kumaris and Kumaris. You are brothers and sisters, and so you cannot indulge in vice. Yes, you can live together in your households, but you cannot indulge in vice. You have to live in this kingdom of Ravan and remain as pure as a lotus. Then the question of how the world population would increase cannot arise. The Father's order is, I have come to make the world pure. Become pure for this last birth, and you can become the masters of the pure world. This is why innocent ones are assaulted. Obstacles are created by devils in the sacrificial fire of knowledge. The Father says only by following Srimad will you become elevated. You had been following devilish dictates for so long, that is, you had been following the dictates of the 5 evil spirits. I am a soul. I have to play a part through this body. No one knows this. A saligram is called a soul. A saligram is not so big. The Supreme Soul is not so big either. Souls and the Supreme Soul are like stars. The entire part each of you plays is recorded in your souls. Each soul says, I shed a body and adopt another one in order to play a part. The Srinarayan soul says, I will adopt the form of Srinarayan and rule for this number of births. The whole imperishable part is recorded in the soul. This is called Godfatherly knowledge. God speaks, the spiritual father sits here and teaches the children. It is not a human being who is teaching you. It is the unlimited Father who is teaching you. No human being knows how this world cycle turns or has knowledge of the Creator or creation. You are now becoming worthy of sitting in a temple. That is, you are becoming worthy of ruling in the Shiv temple. When Bharat was worthy, its people were very wise. The Father has now come to make you as valuable as diamonds. Therefore, you have to follow his Srimad. The dictates of Ravan make you as worthless as shells. You know that the duration of the world cycle is 5,000 years and that it becomes old and new within that time. The golden and silver ages are the new world and the copper and iron ages are the old world. The Father has once again come to establish the deity world. You souls take the full 84 births. The soul speaks and listens through these organs. You shed your old bodies and take new bodies. The Father has given us souls the knowledge that we were at first with the Father in the sweet home. Then we became deities, warriors, merchants, and Shudras. This is now our last birth. We Brahmins will claim our inheritance of heaven and become deities. We will adopt new bodies. That the cycle constantly turn around in your intellects. By staying pure, you will become emperors, rulers of the globe in heaven. This aspect will fit in the intellects of those who became this a cycle ago. Otherwise, it will not fit in their intellects. You have to understand the history and geography of the world. Some understand all of this and yet they leave the study. They will go to heaven, but because they did not become yogi and have their sins absolved, they will experience punishment. They will go to heaven, but they will claim a low status among the subjects. At first, there were the pure emperors and empresses in heaven. They then became impure kings and queens. Now there are no longer even those kings and queens. Pure kings and queens are now being created by the Father. Only the incorporeal Father teaches you this godly knowledge. Brahma is in a corporeal form and listening to the incorporeal Father. The incorporeal Father sits here and teaches us. Only by studying this knowledge do we change from human beings into deities. The Brahma soul is also studying. The souls of the children too are studying this. Good and bad sanskars are in soul. If you have good sanskars, you will take birth in a good family. While studying, some even leave this knowledge. Maya pulls them to herself. On the one side, there are the directions of Ravan. On the other side, there are the directions of Ram. You must follow the directions of Ram in this last birth. When Ravan is victorious, you go to her side and you then become enemies of Ram. The punishment for such souls is very severe. You have taken refuge with Ram, and so if you then become a traitor and take refuge with Ravan, you will dishonor Ram. It is in your intellects that display about the kingdom of Ram and the kingdom of Ravan is truly predestined. The golden age is Satopradhan, the silver age is Sato, the copper age is Rajo, and the iron age is Tamo. You are now becoming Satopradhan once again. Baba comes and makes you Satopradhan, and then from being 16 celestial degrees full, you again have to become 14 celestial degrees. Your degrees then continues to decrease in the company of Ravan. Now, in the Iron Age, there are no celestial degrees. Everyone says we are impure and corrupt. The impure world has to be destroyed and the pure world is being established. The unlimited Father knows the children. You are now sitting in God's home. You, the godly family of Brahmins, will then become deities. Then you will become warriors, merchants, and Shudras. Thus is a cycle. You Brahmins are those who go around the cycle by studying Raj Yoga and imbibing knowledge. You will become kings and queens, rulers of the globe. Therefore, you have to make effort to claim a high status in heaven. Acha, to the sweetest, beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, BapDada. The spiritual father says Namaste to the spiritual children. The spiritual children says Namaste and good morning to the spiritual father. Essence for the dharana. First point, follow the directions of Ram in this last birth. Never leave the refuge of Ram and go into the refuge of Ravan and thereby dishonor the father's name. Second point, in order to be liberated from receiving punishment, become yogis and have your sins absolved. In order to go to the pure world, you must definitely become pure. Blessing. May you be a master creator and celebrate your perfection with the awareness of your unlimited rights. Explanation. At the confluence age, your children receive the inheritance. You also receive an income on the basis of how you study and you receive blessings too. Take every step by keeping the rights of all three relationships emerge in your awareness. Time, matter, and Maya are now waiting to bid you farewell. Now, you master creators simply have to celebrate your perfection and they will bid you farewell. Look into the mirror of knowledge and see what you would become if destruction were to take place at this moment. Slogan. Keep a balance at every moment and in every action, and you will automatically receive everyone's blessings. Om Shanti